Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. Disaster news that we have to speak about in the beginning of the video, and it's a real annoying one for two reasons. The first one is my video was already prepared. It was structured, it was done. I anticipated, I covered everything that I wanted to do. I just needed to click start and we go. But unfortunately, when you are covering football, when you are covering actuality of football, you have to take into account that everything can happen. Everything can change from a moment to another. Do you remember yesterday in the video when I told you that the game Juve-Inter would be played on Sunday and that we were only Monday, and in the meanwhile everything could happen? Yes, that's the second part of the annoying thing. And the most annoying one, we received this information a few minutes ago. Timothy Weah will not take part of the Derby d'Italia. It is now confirmed. We were waiting for the test that he would be able to do at the J Medical to receive a green light to train again with the teammates, to understand if he would have some minutes from the start or maybe in the second half against the Nerazzurri. Well, it is now confirmed. Timothy will have to wait until the beginning of December. When will it be? On the 3rd against Monza, on the 10th against Napoli, or waiting against Genoa on the 17th of December? A bit too early to say it now, but one thing is sure, he will not be there in the Derby d'Italia. A tough news, a difficult one to digest for us Juventini, but even more difficult for Max Allegri, that will have to reinvent the midfield. If he was doubting if starting Weston McKennie in the middle of the field, testing a bit his physical condition, yesterday we told you that he was at 80%, so not even at 100%. Now it is a fact. There is nobody anymore to play on the right side, so we will see Weston McKennie on the right side. Big rebus, big puzzle to understand who will be there in the middle of the field. Will it be the big start of Nicolussi? Will we see some minutes of Nonje? Will we go towards two men in the midfield? Well, it all depends on the physical condition of Locatelli. Locatelli, that yesterday we told you was at 30% of participating in the Derby d'Italia. Well, pay attention, they might have a solution to have him on the field. We'll speak about that in a minute, in a second. Disaster. Ragazzi, before starting speaking about everything, please put a maximum of like, continue to subscribe to the channel if you want to. Yes, even during international break, because we have to support the channel. And when I'm telling you that it is international break, you know how you can understand that it's international break when you see the papers, when you see the media that are also starting not only to speak about Italy, about Belgium, about whatever team, France, and so on, but also when they start speaking about fantasy world. And yesterday, 3 coaches were linked to Juventus. We started with Antonio Conte at a certain moment, reported by some media telling us that Antonio Conte would start coaching again, and there are 4 teams that are possible in terms of destination for the coach from south of Italy: Roma, United, Manchester, Napoli, and even Juventus. They continue in the middle of the day speaking about Vincenzo Italiano. Attenzione, because Criscitiello that said that Juventus is following him super closely. He is one of the candidates because Allegri will probably leave this summer. And then it's not over, because they continue with the third one, and this time it was Tutto Mercato Web that said that it's absolutely not certain that Max Allegri will be the coach next season. The club is exploring other options, and one of the names that they are really finding appealing is Thiago Motta. 3 different profiles, 3 different coaches linked to Juventus, because all the media are going already with Max Allegri will not be the coach of Juventus 24-25. If I want to speak about Thiago Motta, if Juventus really want to secure that name of the ex-Inter, Paris Saint-Germain player, they have to be fast, because Bologna is thinking to give him an extension until 2026. And how do they want to convince him? Offering him a project a la Atalanta. More integrated, more involved in the project for the ex-Inter player, Brazilian-Italian coach that is doing quite well at Bologna. So attenzione, Juventus has to speed. Now, my question, of course, speaking about the 3 coaches that yesterday were linked to Juve, they go with Allegri will leave. It's a certainty. Remember, on the channel I told you that for me it was quite difficult to see Max Allegri this season, 23-24 on the bench of the Bianconeri. For what reason? I thought if he was able to win last year, he would have left as a winner. If he was not able to win, probably would have been sacked by the management. The management left in November, exactly 1 year ago, and everything changed because Juventus was looking for 2 things: stability and also saving costs. And of course, sacking the coach Max Allegri would have been quite difficulty. And looking for stability and continuity, thinking about rebuilding Juve, Max Allegri was probably the best one. And if we're looking at the ranking, probably they were not wrong to continue 23-24. What will happen in the next season? Well, that's a big question mark. But my question mark is, yes, of course, 3 coaches, 4 coaches, 5 coaches, that Juventus is looking for other coaches. Why not? But why spreading this information right now? 5 days before Juve Inter? That's my huge question. In today's video, I also want to speak about, at the end of the video, of course, about what the video that I did yesterday, because I saw some comments that were telling me, Beppe, you have too much hate for the Italian national team. So I want to go with a reply to these comments, showing you a bit of things that can maybe tell me, Beppe, you are not that wrong with your analysis of the video of yesterday. Anyway, let's continue with Juve Inter. Let's continue with the national team and international break. One that can be there or will be there from the beginning of the game is probably Andrea Cambiaso. Can he be the one that will play on the right side? Can he be the one that will be in the middle of the field? We don't know, but it will be a Cambiaso that will be turbocharged and rested because he played 0 minutes with the Italian national team, Italy that has qualified to Euro 2024, and they were all celebrating yesterday. So congratulations to the Azzurri, not only them, also Serbia with Kostic and Vlahovic qualified for Euro 2024. So I'm happy that we will see a lot of Juve players during the summer. Not only them, there's also Turkey that qualified with Kenan Yildiz today. Attenzione, because Kenan Yildiz will play what is nearly a friendly. Why? Because they already qualified against Wales, and he will probably play from the beginning of the game. Attenzione to the performance of Kenan Yildiz. If he scores again, it will be super difficult for Max Allegri to keep him out of the Derby d'Italia. Another team that already qualified is l'Équipe de France with Rabiot that answered a few questions, telling that he was not the leader on social media. It's not one that loves to appear on the web, but it's really a leader in the locker room, in private life, giving a lot of tips to the players that are surrounding him. He also spoke about the situation Paul Pogba, that he didn't want to tell too much about it or to give too much his opinion with, but he said that he went with him at dinner before the national team, and he said, I hope that the punishment of Paul Pogba that we are still waiting for will not be that long, because for one man only, enduring what he had to endure in the last few weeks, months, maybe 2 years, is quite difficult to digest for everyone. Anyway, my biggest fear, of course, is that the international break is not over, and even if the Italian boys will not play anymore, we still have to monitor the other ones that are playing, like Yildiz, like Rabiot, etc., because look at the first page of AS Spanish paper that is saying Guerra Clubes FIFA. It is a war between the clubs of FIFA because the last international break brought so many injured players. Erling Haaland, Vinicius Junior, Eduardo Camavinga, Andre Onana, maybe that's good for Manchester United, I don't know. Marcus Rashford, Weston McKennie that had to come back from USA, Zaire Emery, Michael Antonio, Mikel Oyarzabal. Disaster if you are looking at all the players that are injured, and some of them even for the remaining part of the season. When I told you that we had possibly a good news for Manuel Locatelli, it is the fact that Manu Locatelli, they are thinking, you know, when Victor Osimhen had a problem with the face after that big, huge collision. Well, he had that mask. They are looking for a kind of jacket, a special jacket under his t-shirt for the Manuel Locatelli, so that is Locatelli, so that it's not able to suffer or less suffering to his rib. So attenzione, because that could be a possible solution, increasing the chances to see the Italian midfielder there in the game against Inter. And now we are going to the moment that you are probably all waiting for, my continuing of analysis of the game of yesterday, Italy-Ukraine. I want to go too faster than yesterday. Why? Because yesterday I already made the video with a deep, in-depth analysis, but this morning I was reading the comments and I saw the ones of Rocco, that is a loyal on the channel, so it's absolutely not a personal attack to Rocco, that is sharing his opinion, but is actually giving him an answer. When he's telling me, Beppe, stop being so negative versus Italy because you hate Gravina. First comment. Second one, because he continued, was, I have looked at the footage that has been blown up multiple times from different angles, and to me, here, there is no contact. Maybe a small touch, but enough for a penalty? That looks like a big dive, a simulation. The player should have received a yellow card for acting like he was trying to avoid a mortar bomb. Sounds like a conspiracy theory. I know that you don't like Gravina, Beppe. He wants him to fail. So Beppe wants him to fail, but the Azzurri players question mark. So my first answer is, if you watched the video of yesterday, and I know you did, you will understand that I told you that I'm extremely happy for the Azzurri because I'm Italian myself, and a competition without the Italian ones are absolutely not the same. So congratulations to Italy, and I'm happy, of course. But if you're looking at the pictures, Rocco, if you're telling me, Beppe, I watch it from different angles and there is no contact. But then you're telling me maybe a small touch. So a small touch is a contact. And we know it in the VAR era. If there is a small contact and you're watching it slow-mo, it's accentuating it. And 9 on 10 times they are giving the fall that has been submitted there, that we saw on the field. No, now look at the picture, the first one of Cristante and Mudryk. Is there a touch, yes or no? According to me, yes. If we go with a zoom, you can clearly see it. Now, if you don't believe me with pictures because it's a frame that we are taking, but you want to see a bit more that animation, look here. So what do we see? That there are actually not one but 2 contacts. The right foot of Cristante is going on the right foot of Mudryk slightly, but then look at the knee of Cristante that is going totally on the left leg of Mudryk. If you are telling me, Rocco, that a human person in velocity, because we are speaking about people that are not static but they are running, that he could have stayed on his leg, Rocco, I don't know what kind of strategy you're seeing or physiognomy, but that's a normal fall. It's not diving. He has been touched in 2 parts of his body, right foot and left leg, and he's falling. This is, according to me, 100% a penalty. For the people that are telling me, yeah, Beppe, but the ball was actually far from him. And no, because the control of Mudryk is actually really well, and that ball is going further after he loses balance. But ragazzi, let's be honest, this is a penalty 100 times. But let's listen to what the papers are saying it, because yesterday, I remember when I was watching Italian television before the VAR didn't intervene, there were actually the journalists that were saying, yeah, he touched him. Let's see what the papers are saying. Gazzetta dello Sport, Corriere dello Sport, Tutto Sport. The 3 of them are going with Eccoci. Here we are for Gazzetta dello Sport, with the Italian team all standing in front of the picture. Corriere dello Sport, andiamo, let's go, with the same picture, and the same picture also used by Tutto Sport with here we go again, or here we are again, rieccoci. So if I'm looking a bit more in detail on the 3 pages, I don't see any Italian pages that are speaking about that context. There is no scandalo, drama, disaster. We won, but how? Yes, it's true, we qualified, but there was a penalty. Now, ragazzi, let's not exaggerate. Let's honestly speak about if it was Juve. If this contact happens on Sunday in the Derby d'Italia, I honestly think, and you know it, I'm doing the channel now since nearly 4 years, that we would have seen total other pages. Tutto Sport, Corriere dello Sport, Gazzetta dello Sport would have probably blown up really the fact that it was not giving a penalty, would have spoken about it, I believe, for the next 20 years. Or just imagine if it was Gatti that was there in that moment, ragazzi. Let's be honest. Let's be really clear about that one. If you really want to see what Gazzetta is thinking about it, you have to go on page 2 and 3 and really small, without the highlights, without the graphic they're telling us, there is a dubious penalty, Cristante Mudryk, but the VAR is actually remaining silent. And if you're reading inside, they're saying dubious episode at the 93rd minute. In the box, Mudryk is actually putting the ball away, and then you have Cristante that is arriving late. The foot of the Azzurro looks like he's touching the right of the striker from Ukraine, that is then falling, probably exaggerating the fall. But it remains the fact that the referee and VAR, they stay silent. Grazie. You know, I told you yesterday, all these kind of episodes how much I'm happy that Italy qualified to Euro 2024, and they probably deserve it because they played, they tried to also go with a goal, they didn't score at the end, until of course the last minutes where Spalletti decides to go towards a 5-3-2 instead of playing that 4-3-3, taking away Politano. But it's the fact that, VAR room stay silent. They didn't go because this is a clear penalty. It is a clear penalty. And then you go back to the famous words of Ceferin from a few days ago, end of October, where he said Italy must qualify for Euro 2024, otherwise it will be a disaster. The Italian national team is too important, but I think Italy will beat Ukraine. Ragazzi, what are we speaking about? If you have Ceferin that is organizing UEFA, that is giving, without any sense of meritocracy, that vice UEFA president role to Gravina, when we know everything that happened, the plea deal of Juve, etc., these words are again underlining that, believe it or not or whatever, but there are some things that are not 100% clear in football words. It is what it is. That was my comment to Rocco. So Rocco, absolutely no personal attack. I accept your comment, but if we are really honest, it's not about Gravina, not Gravina. The facts are there and you can judge them by yourself. It is what it is. Grazie for following the channel. Hopefully Max Allegri will find a midfield to play against Inter. Hopefully this evening we have no more drama in terms of injury and that we can play at least with 11 players against Inter. That would be fun and appreciated. Grazie, forza, Juve.